Hey everyone, get ready to hear some serious political propaganda in regards to central planning and economics in Canada by none other than Kevin Carmichael from the Financial Post. Bank of Canada raises rates as Poloz's tale of recovery from Great Recession finally starts coming true. Kevin Carmichael. Beyond trade, the bigger story in decision is that most companies are responding to their order books rather than headlines in business pages. Bank of Canada Governor Stephen Poloz's tale about how the economy would recover from the Great Recession is finally coming true. Finally! Keep these words in the back of your mind. Well, actually, keep them in the forefront of your mind for this particular article, for this particular video, so you can learn and understand for yourself where this premise, where this rhetoric is coming from, right? What are you talking about? Finally, the Great Recession, right? That was a result of the 2007/2008 economic crash. 2008, right? This is 2018. It's a decade later, and it's finally, they're saying, finally? What? So you were off by a decade? Not a day, not a week, not a month, not a year, but a decade. But yet these fuckers pretend or put forth the narrative that they know what they're talking about, right? Don't you think you should question the people that are off by a whole decade, that they were completely wrong in their assumptions, right? But yet, look at what they've done to the economy. Look how much they intervened in the economy based on the premise that they were correct all along. Like I say, you can't trust these people, folks. But anyways, let me just hold back and continue on reading this article. The central bank ignored Donald Trump's trade vandalism and raised its benchmark interest rate a quarter point to 1.5% on July 11th. Trade vandalism. What the? Listen to the rhetoric. This is pure political rhetoric. It's not anything conducive to an actual genuine economics, like a fundamentalist aspect of understanding, like trade agreement kind of argument. This is political posturing, folks. It did so mostly because of an unexpected jump in business investment and export this year. Two growth engines that Poloz said in 2013 would drive Canada's battered post-crisis economy back to better days. Oh, it was those animal spirits that they were trying to propagate and promote and cheerlead for, right? But 5 years later, even since 2013, you're saying it took them 5 years for the Canadian people to finally get on board? No, it's nothing of the sort. And like I said, just watch my past videos, folks, and you get a lot better understanding and explanation than what you're going to get from Mr. Carmichael here, from this character. Instead, those motors sputtered, forcing the central bank to keep interest rates low. Well, why would the central bank have to keep interest rates low when people aren't spending the economy? Oh, it's to stimulate. That's probably why they call it stimulus, when the banks print money and giving it to these central planning hacks or these crony corporations or these government forced subjugation type industries or entities, right? It's all about, we're going to pull forward economic activity to prop up the economy in the here and now, but what's going to happen in the future? What about that economic activity when you pull forward? What's going to happen in the future? Well, it's going to stagnate. It's going to decline unless you do more of this and this central planning model shit, right? Like this Keynesianism. But what has Keynesianism given us? Massive amounts of debts and unfunded liabilities that is going to create and ultimately lead to a crash that's going to make us all suffer as a result, as a consequence. Even those of you out there have been doing the right things economically, well, even socially, you're going to have to suffer consequence, or at least to a lesser degree, no doubt. If you were smart, if you were wise, you're going to suffer a lot less than other people, but you're still going to suffer as a result of all this shit. But it's because you got these idiots in the media. They keep promulgating and promoting this kind of central planning narrative, this kind of quasi-communist, socialist, fascist. Like, I think they've amalgamated all those collective endeavors now, and they're all just one big ball of, well, let's just call it forced subjugation, collectivism. Hey, modern day slavery, folks. This is in reference to economic slavery, although that's kind of what slavery really entails. That's truly what slavery means, doesn't it? That left the burden of economic growth on Canada's debt-addled households, which did their duty and kept spending, right? So all you did was pile on, they're even admitting this article, is pile on more debt obligations, making them into basically modern day indentured servants or servitude to the ruling class. That's all, or the banksters, right? Oh, you've done a good job. Now you've got a whole lot more Canadians that are now enslaved to the ruling class and the banksters. Oh, good job. Well, at least we stimulated the economy. At least we got a whole lot more stuff. At least the GDP grew, right? The economy stayed afloat, but at the expense of record levels of private debt that now threatens future growth. What? Yeah. Well, hello, if you pull all that economic activity towards the here and now and get that immediate gratification, well, you can't do it later, right? What you made today, if you spend it all today, well, you don't get to like make up like what, that you've doubled your income back then and now you can spend it later. No, you had a finite amount of income. You squandered it. You spent it in the here and now. So you're not going to have that later to spend. That's just reality. Hey, I think that should be part of what, I think it was actually at one point in time, part of Economics 101, folks. But at last, corporate Canada appears to have taken the baton. But they're saying, but now it's really working. Oh, now, that was all bullshit before, man. It was, I know we were wrong. We were, all of our experts, right, with all those diplomas lying on their walls. Yeah, I know they were all wrong. I know they got it all wrong, especially in predicting even the financial crash. Well, except for people like Peter Schiff, people that actually genuinely understand macroeconomics properly. Yeah, they got it right. They made it like bandits as a result, as a consequence of that. These central planning hacks, they don't put that much effort into actually understand things. They just want to sell a narrative. And they're trying to sell a narrative once again here. But, oh no, this time they're right though. Oh, don't worry, they're right this time. The composition of growth is shifting, the Bank of Canada said in its policy statement. Exports are being buoyed by strong global demand and higher commodity prices. Business investment is growing in response to solid demand growth and capacity pressures. Although trade tensions are weighing on investment in some sectors. First of all, let me debunk this political message in this particular narrative right now. The only reason why you're seeing this now is, think about it. They've sent the message, the central bankers, the central planners have sent the message that interest rates are going up now. That's literally what this is about. So think about it. Even you as a consumer, but if you're a corporate exec or anyone that's got to invest in any period of time, are you not going to do it now when interest rates are still kind of low? Of course. So once again, all this political messaging, all this central planning, you're just pulling now, you're pulling ahead all this economic activity. But what's going to happen in the future? Because that economic activity, once you pull it ahead, like I've said already, I mean, you might make more money in the future, but the money that you've spent or squandered now, that's already gone. So it's not like you have this massive amount or this infinite amount of money that when something happens 5 years out that you're just, wait. Oh, I struck gold. Look, I struck gold. No, it's all going to be based on the aggregate demand and your actual economic status and how much money you have left. And what we're seeing today is the Canadian people have basically put themselves on the hook for debt obligations that stretch out decades, and they're not going to have anything left over except for, what, a little bit of raise they might get, which is what we're seeing today, where they're trying to promote some raises so they can stimulate the economy further. But once again, that's got to come from somewhere, folks. It's all about math. And, even if you get a raise, once again, you can pull that demand forward and spend that little bit of extra money that you've accumulated or garnered as a result of that raise. But what about the future? What about the time when you do end up retiring where you're not productive economically? You're going to have to rely on that as savings or unfunded liability. So which is it going to be? If you're not going to have any savings and you're only going to be relying on these unfunded liabilities, well, once again, the debt obligations, well, look out there. That's why they continue to grow. Everyone thinks that it'll all be waiting for us at the end, man. Yeah, we can just live like kings and queens in the here and now, and somehow government will magically take care of us in the future, even though we haven't done anything to save any money for ourselves now. Anyways, I'll post a link to this article in the description of the video below. There's quite a bit left to it. As per usual, read it, folks. I do. I go on and I do read this stuff, but like I say, because I make my videos so that usually I try to keep them sub, 20 minutes for sure, 15 minutes, below 15 minutes, ultimately, that's how I like to keep them. But the reason why I post the links in the description of the video is so that you can continue to read on, because there is still probably a lot of information contained within this article that I think would be relevant for you. And it's something that you should learn. Like I said, and that's why, to me, whether it's stuff come from the political left, the political right, or just economists or so-called, just listen to what they got to say. Listen to everybody. Well, I mean, maybe not everybody, but listen to these people, so because sometimes they tell the truth. Like I say, even a broken clock can be right twice a day. Sometimes you'll get some information that you need to hear, but always be willing to listen to counter opinions, to counter narratives. Because if you leave that, if you just continually stay stuck in an echo chamber, you're going to miss out on a lot of genuine truth and information that is going to benefit you. Well, especially in regards to this stuff, economically. Not just now, not just in the medium term, but for long term as well. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.